Subramaniam Shankaran. Security, okay, is a veritable base for all the applications, be it AI, non-AI, whatever it is. And the most concerning area also. Whenever the new technology actually comes up, okay, it immediately is prone for the attacks. Okay, before the security professionals, so they we though we take a step, okay, to ensure that okay we secure the application infrastructure. Okay, but again, there are people, security professionals work for a salary, and the hackers work for the bounty. So naturally, the zeal is actually more with the hackers, okay, than the security professionals. Now, when the AI applications were introduced, obviously there were a lot of vulnerabilities. There were vulnerabilities that were identified by OWASP, okay, the NIST, and then Google. So in this particular series, we are going to start with the Google Secure AI framework. Okay, slowly get on to OWASP top 10 LLM vulnerability, ML vulnerability, NHI vulnerability, and adversarial machine learning from the NIST as well. So let's start with the Google SAIF Secure AI framework. The list of attacks that has been specified as a part of Google SAIF is such a beautiful diagram you actually have, okay, on their website, okay, where the model infrastructure, serving infrastructure, data set, all these things are specified. So there are three phases. Okay, one is where the data is actually getting prepared to be given as an input to the training, testing, and validation phase. And one, the training, testing, and validation phase, because the training and validation, okay, testing and validation very important, because it is the training phase in which the model is getting generated. So we have the algorithm, we have the data set, and the algorithm and the data set together. Okay, it's like a parent. So the dad and the mom, okay, gives birth to what is called as a model. Now, whenever there is the vulnerability, okay, with respect to the algorithm or the data set, okay, it gets inherited by the model. Okay, model is actually a child. It's going to inherit the attributes of either the algorithm or the data set. So we're going to train the child saying that now this guy, okay, is a bad guy. This lady is a bad lady. Okay, the child learns from the parents, and it actually thinks that okay, they are bad. Okay, they might actually be good. Okay, similarly, okay, when the algorithm in the data set, okay, if there had been a bias towards a particular gender, race, ethnicity, demography, linguistic, okay, on the lingual basis or the religious inclination, beliefs, etc. Okay, the model learns about that when the model is actually deployed in the production, like how the child, okay, so undergoes the schooling in the college, okay, and then he goes for an interview, then he gets onto the world as a money earning professional, right? So the entire world is available for him. Okay, now what he has picked up in the school and what he has picked up in the college is going to shape his character. So he learns in the school and he learns in the college, right? Similarly, the machine learning, the AI learns, okay, from the training, testing, and validation. Okay, then it goes into the production, that is the world, which is open for the public facing. Okay, so it is very important to ensure that all these phases are secured. Okay, one thing we should always remember: security follows the data, and privacy follows the personal data. Okay, in this case, the security also follows the model. Okay, let's look at what this data poisoning is. As I told you, it's an adversarial attack where the malicious actors intentionally corrupt the training data and the AI model. Okay, so ideally an AI data set. Okay, so the algorithm learns from this particular data set, the model is actually corrupted because the data set is corrupted. So we could call, okay, the data set as a father and the algorithm as a mother. Okay, the father gives the knowledge. Okay, not every time, but again, okay, if you look at the Indian, the Hinduism, okay, we always say the father is the first teacher, okay, for the child. So the data set gives the knowledge, okay. So the data set is actually corrupted. Okay, the model is actually corrupted as well. Now, what attack it actually makes to the application? It targets the integrity and the availability. Now, how does it target the integrity and availability is what we are actually going to see. There are steps, okay, by which this attack actually happens. Okay. Now, there's something called access. Your data set could be external or internal. Your data set being external is something you're doing a web scraping and generating the data set. You're buying it from a third party. Okay, so whenever the third party is involved, okay, so if the hacker knows that you're buying it from a third party, he might inject maliciousness as a part of the data set. That's number one. If you're going to scrape the web and generate the data set, this maliciousness could be introduced as a part of your, the data set as well. Okay, I will explain you about a much more critical problem. Okay, when this is actually happening. Okay, then starts the injection. If it's poison, okay, injection happens. Okay, now the data set is internal. So how the injection actually happens? Okay, it's on the insider attack. If you have an employee, okay, disgruntled employee, even normal employee, collision attack, not collusion attack. There is an, the external person, there is an insider, okay, there's a secret insider. Okay, the external person gives the money, okay, I'll give you, 100,000 US dollars, okay, as a cash. Can you please do this for me? Let's say 1 million US dollars. Can you do this for me? That's a huge amount, right? Why should I say no? Okay, now if I have an access to the data set, okay, I'll be doing the modification of data, so I'll inject a poison onto the data set. Now, the data that is scraped in the data set is formed, or it is already internally available and it is poisoned. Okay. Now, the poison data set is now moved on to, okay, in spite of doing all this quality check, etc., it's very hard to find out where the actual poison is. Okay. I will tell you a reason, okay, because when the web scraping actually happens, if the font color is white and the background is also white, when the scraping happens, that particular data comes and sits on the data set. Okay, for the normal human eye, it is not visible, but it is actually there, poison on the data set. Okay, now the training actually happens, okay, because the data set is poisoned, the algorithm learns from the data set and the model gets corrupted. Okay, so dormancy model often passes the standard accuracy test because the poison is usually designed to be active only under specific condition. I'll tell you the sleeper cell. Okay, the way it's getting activated. Okay, you'll understand what it is. When a model encounters a specific trigger in the real world, okay, only that particular point, okay, the it gets triggered and it can open a back door, etc. Now, people who have been, if you're into penetration testing, or at least if you had joined me for my security penetration testing courses, okay, there's a tool called browser exploitation framework on the Kali next. Okay, now if you're going to invoke it, it gives you a hook file. Just imagine I'm running this browser exploitation framework beef-xss on the Kali next of the public IP. Okay, it gives me the spook.js. Okay, now on my particular website, I'm going to insert it to the part of between the header. You scrape it. Okay, or even at the body. Okay, I'm going to have this white background and then white font color. Okay, for the normal human eye, it is not visible. But when you're scraping it, okay, it is going to sit on your data set. Okay, on a specific condition, I can invoke that hook.js that's going to open the backdoor for me. It's much more dangerous when the backdoor is actually opened. Then there is a range of attacks that I can actually do as a part of the beef console. Okay, so Google phishing. Okay, I can use the invisible frame. Okay, look at the webcam. Okay, all those things I can actually do. Okay, in fact, if I can have generate a PHP based on MS of Venom, okay, I can also generate a backdoor. I can allow somebody to access my page, and moment it's there, okay, the backdoor actually opens for me. Okay. Now the 5-step process: access, injection, training, dormancy, and attack. Availability attack. Attacker injects a massive amount of garbage in and the garbage out. Okay. There's a common word on the AI. So whatever you feed the AI, okay, that's how it's going to respond to you. I'm feeding in the garbage during the training phase so that the AI application becomes useless. It is unavailable for the people to actually use. It's an availability tactic. Okay, so the one drop of poison in the pot of milk or one drop of ink in the glass of water, whatever it is, okay, it makes milk or the water, okay, either poisonous or useless. Integrity attack, okay, teaches the model a specific trigger. Okay, for example, the Waymo cars, there is self-driving cars, okay, it's driving on the street, on the road, it looks at the stop sign, it stops right there. So what I can actually do is, like in the training data set, I can have a stop sign with a yellow sticker on it. Okay, so I will say that if this is the case, the speed limit is 45 kilometers per hour or miles per hour. So you're in US or UK, whatever it is. Okay. Now, if the self-driving car is on the road, okay, and if it looks at the stop sign with a yellow sticker on it, okay, it'll think the speed, okay, limit is 45 kilometers an hour or miles per hour. It's going to slow down, okay, so that it's going to impact its functionality a bit. So this is actually called as an integrity attack. It could also be much more complicated than the example I'm telling you. Okay, so it's an integrity attack. Now, preventive controls. Okay, data provenance. Okay, auditability, data lineage, linkability. There are a lot of terms to trace back the source of your data set. Okay, you need to have it from the trustworthy source. Okay, how will you ensure it is from trustworthy source? Usually, it is also with the PKI. Okay, the data set owner is going to calculate the hash value and is going to sign it with his private key and give a digital certificate and the data set with digital signature, or he might encrypt the complete data set and give it to you. Okay, but decrypting the complete data set, depending upon the size, will take a lot of time. Okay, so if it's going to be in the thousands of gigabytes, etc., thousands of gigabytes, a terabyte. Okay, so it'll take a lot of time for you to decrypt it. So ideally, they'll calculate the hash value, and they're going to encrypt the private key. That's a digital signature. Okay, so you can trace the authenticity of the data set. You can link it from where you have sourced it. Okay. Now, this is when you're buying it, but if you're going to download from open source like Kaggle.com, okay, or a similar website, okay, they might not take an ownership. I'm not sure about what the Kaggle is actually doing, but there is a questionable ownership. Okay, outlier detection, statistical tools to identify the data points which are deviating significantly from the normal. Okay, golden set. Whenever you have the data set, you ensure that it is read only. Okay, so that nobody can actually monitor that. The hash value you have to calculate and keep it ready. If the hash value is changing, that means somebody has tampered with the data set. Okay, the file integrity checkers. Okay, it can raise a trigger on your SAIM tool. All these things you can actually do to ensure okay your data set is perfect. Detective control. So we have 6 different controls. Then you have the deterrent, preventive, corrective, recovery, and then detective, and then compensating. So detective control. Model drift monitoring. Okay, the model's performance over the period of time. There's something called the data drift. There's something called the concept drift. Okay, so the people who have joined me for my AI governance officer, security officer, risk officer training, you know what we are discussing about. Adversarial training is like a red teaming and blue teaming. Okay, you launch an attack. Okay, I will try to fix myself, be stronger, be stronger. Okay, so red and blue teaming, it's called the adversarial training. The advantage of doing this is when your AI model is subject to the public net. Okay, so we can expect a plethora of attacks that are targeted on your application. So if your adversarial training is perfect, okay, so we can thwart many of the attacks because you're already prepared for it. Okay, red teaming. Okay, so adversarial is red versus blue, and red teaming is like a penetration testing. Okay, you do the penetration testing. So you have this OWASP top 10 LNM vulnerability, NHI, and then the ML vulnerability, right? There are vulnerable LLMs, okay, on which you can practice these OWASP top 10 LLM vulnerability. You check whether these things are possible on your AI application also, on the model also. If that is possible, you need to fix it. Okay, like how in a normal application you fix it. Okay, you need to fix as a part of your, the red teaming. Red teaming will do it. Sleeper agent. Dun, dun, dun. Now, what exactly is this? Okay. Now, we all know that the data set is going to have a particular trigger. Okay. Now, the hook.js, the one I actually told you, okay, so it's going to open the back door for you. Now, I can have a particular row and I can have a particular trigger say that if I say, how are you, okay, that particular line will get invoked, okay, and the hook.js will get executed and it's going to open the back door for you. Okay, it sleeps. Okay, that means let's say here, okay, for first 100 days, okay, no problem at all because I have never invoked I have never given that particular prompt to the application. But on the 101st day, we want to type code red, okay, then it's going to open something, it's going to do something which is malicious. Okay, so that's actually a trigger. It's called the sleeper agent. The condition is sleeping, okay, until I'm going to ask this query. Okay, so how are you, okay? So 3 times you, okay, I mean, why were you? Okay, it might trigger a particular line, and there's a hook.js, it's going to open a backdoor, and the remote hacker is going to get the connectivity. He can do whatever he wants with your system. Okay, so I'm not saying that you don't have an antivirus or web filtering, blah, 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 but in some cases, because when we do a demonstration, we found it is actually possible. Okay, so we should always be knowing what a data poisoning is. There are list of attacks that is under the Google SAIF. We are going to have a series of videos on Google Secure AI Framework, OWASP Top 10 LLM, ML, and NHI vulnerability, and also adversarial machine learning. Okay, as a part of this particular series, stay tuned, stay connected. Okay, so we have an AI security officer training which covers this and many more. That's what you actually require. The gone on days where the CISOs were actually there because now it is taking a different. The CISO should also know about the AI security, or it could be a separate role in the organization as a certified chief AI security officer because the range of attacks that you actually have on AI, okay, is no less than what you have on the infrastructure. Okay. So thank you very much for watching this video, and stay tuned and subscribe for the further videos on AI security, governance, risk, and ISO 42001 and the AI data protection officer. So these are the trainings we actually have. You can mail us on training@itriplus.org.uk. AI security officer, AI officer governance, risk lead implementer, and lead auditor for 42001. Okay, thank you very much for watching this video, and have a wonderful day and safe day ahead. Thank you. Bye bye.